You're listening to the Limitless Leadership Podcast, the podcast designed to help automotive repair shops learn how to lead, coach, train, and manage their team better by sharing proven techniques and thought-provoking interviews from industry leaders. Are you ready to transform your leadership skills by tapping into unrecognized potential to achieve limitless results? Let's get ready for liftoff. It's time to go from great to greater. Here's today's episode.
All right, leaders, whether you're running a shop, leading a team, or leveling up in your career, you know details matter. And if you're like me, that includes keeping your beard on point. That's why I trust the Bearded Brotherhood. Their beard oils, beard balms, and mustache waxes, among other, are made with all natural ingredients, no junk, no shortcuts, just top-tier quality that keeps my beard looking sharp and feeling great. And let's talk scents. Whether it's their best-selling Woodsman or my personal favorite, Lone Stranger, the Bearded Brotherhood keeps me smelling fresh and my beard stays soft all day. If you take your beard game seriously, this is the stuff that you need. And because you're part of the Limitless Leadership podcast family, I've got a deal for you. Just visit thebeardedbrotherhood.co/lead15 to grab your favorite products and get 15% off in the process. Because a great leader deserves a great beard. Now, back to today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Limitless Leadership Podcast. Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things you need to on social media. Go to YouTube at The Bearded Leader, where you can subscribe to this channel. And we have another guest today, a great guest today, a guest who's doing some big things in the automotive repair industry. Excited to share with you all what she's doing. She is the owner and head coach at Shift Point Training Academy. In 2024, she was recognized by the Auto Care Alliance as the AAPEX Service Advisor of the Year. Our guest today is Samantha Higdon. Samantha, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, Samantha, before we get started with the episode and all things leadership and all things training, because I know that's a big part of your life, go ahead and share with the audience who you are, what you do, and how you do it.
So I am the head coach. I am the owner at Shift Point Training Academy, where we do one-on-one virtual training for customer service representatives, so CSRs. And I am also working on rolling out service advisor training as well. I like the one-on-one as opposed to like group training because we get the ability to really individualize and customize training to your team member. That way you and your team member, you're getting the most out of your investment in training. Mm-hmm. But for us, training is really important. I started working with my dad, Tom, at Shearer Sales and Service in Pennsylvania back in 2017. Since then, we have done continuous training. We have an expectation of 40 hours of training a year, with a goal of 80 hours of training a year. And we do that through things like STX. We do things like tools, which is coming up in Pennsylvania. And we do as much as we can. We've been working with a business coach for as long as I've been alive, I think. We're celebrating our 30th year in business this year at Shearers. And gosh, I think we worked with Rick at 180 Biz for at least 25 of those years.
Oh, wow.
And I am 27, I think. So we've been working with a coach forever. If you're not learning, you're going backwards. So it's super important to continuously train, but that's where I come in. I feel like it's super important to continuously train your team members so that you and your team, your company can take the best possible care of your clients. And that's kind of what I'm working on right now. Just kind of helping everyone get the most out of what we are doing every day.
Yeah, that's impressive. I'm really impressed by the fact that you're sharing that you've only been in the industry for 8 years, and last year in 2024, you won the AAPEX Service Advisor of the Year award. Auto Care Alliance, recognized you for that award. So that means 7 years. You joined the industry in 2017. 7 years go by, and there are thousands of incredible service advisors across the globe. How did you become the Service Advisor of the Year in 7 years?
So to kind of back up a little bit, and I'll just share my whole story. Um, so I graduated high school in 2015. Right away, went to college, went to nursing school. My initial reason for going to nursing school was to help people. That's why I went to nursing school. But after a year and a half of school, I came home for a winter break. I was like, Dad, I I can't sit in a classroom. I cannot learn this way. This is not how I do things. So I left school. I came home, lived with my parents, and I worked at a movie theater. So I worked at a movie theater. I worked at a nursing home together at the same time. Um, he saw me struggling with my schedule and things like that. And at that point, we were really growing as a business and we needed help. So he brought me into the business as a CSR to help answer phones, take care of clients at the counter, things like that. So I was just kind of doing those little things. But in the background, so I was sitting at the front counter. Our only service advisor at the time, Mike, who is now our service manager, was sitting behind me, and I could see how stressed out he was. He was overwhelmed. He had a lot going on. And I just kind of I asked questions, I paid attention, and I slowly kind of became like a self taught service advisor. Obviously, I did not become the service advisor of the year being self-taught. That is not how that happened. But that's kind of how I slowly became a service advisor from a CSR. I just stayed curious and I asked questions. And if you ask my dad, he will tell you I'm kind of just like a sponge where I just kind of soak it all up and it just doesn't go away. And then eventually later that year, we've never had two locations at the same time, but this is our third location ever. So we moved from our second location to our third location where we are now. And at that point, we brought on another service advisor. So we had two at that point. I was still a CSR. But then he kind of got lured back to where he was working before. And we really needed a second service advisor. And my dad asked me, he's like, hey, we need you. Are you ready to do it? I said, no, I'm not. Because I saw how stressed out everyone was. And I said, I am not doing that. But he promised me that we would work on the stress side of things. And with that, I came on board as a service advisor. He got me training. I kind of worked with, we have AVI, I don't remember what that stands for, but we have AVI. So we have a lot of video training, things like that available to us. So I did a lot of video training. I worked one-on-one with my dad and Mike, our service advisor, to learn the ins and outs of how our company does things. And I also worked with our business coach, Rick White at 180 Biz, to kind of learn how to do things properly. So over time, I just kind of moved into that role. And then, so that was about 2018, 2019. And like I said, we have training requirements here. So we started doing STX. We started doing, when a trainer would come in this area, we would go to it. If there was a trainer somewhere else that was feasible, I would go there. Pretty much any training that was available, I would do it. My dad would send me because it's really important to learn, to train from all the different trainers that are available in our industry, even if they're training style or their ideals might not 100% align with what we do here, there are little pieces of gold in everyone's messages that you can kind of pluck and put into your own thing.
Yeah.
So
That's so
yeah.
good. And you shared a lot of things that are resonating with me. As a trainer myself, I understand the importance of being able to share information in a way that prompts the listening audience to want to soak things in like a sponge. You used the word sponge earlier, and that's the word that was coming to mind. Even before you said it. So I'm like, yeah, exactly. And what I've seen as a trainer is you got a lot of folks who attend to training, and I see three different types of training attendees. You have your sponge, is what you talked about, the people who are there, they're soaking it all in, they're taking notes, they're engaged, they're interactive. And then you have your vacationer. Your vacationer is someone who, they were sent to training by their owner, or they're there. They might take notes, they might not take notes. They're sometimes engaged, sometimes not engaged. And you got your hostage, and your hostage is there in the back of the room, arms crossed, not taking notes, and they're like, "I'm here because I have to be, not because I get to be." I'll ask you, as a head coach, as a trainer, as someone who is a lifelong learner and someone who is truly a sponge, I'll ask you, how do you shift your training attendees' mindset from a have to attitude to a get to attitude?
So when I see someone who is not necessarily engaged or they might not be super into what we're learning or talking about, it's kind of switching it to what they benefit from. So if it's, they don't want to be there, but what do they actually get out of it? So, like for some of our technicians, they are money motivated. Okay, great. You're money motivated. If you do X, Y, and Z, which is what we're working on, you will get more hours, you will get more money. But obviously, that's not the end goal. But, quality, say we're working on quality, things like that, quality control,
Yeah.
checking on yourself. Um, yeah, you could blow through this repair, but if we go back and we quality control check all of your work, you're not going to have a comeback. You're not going to lose those hours when that car does come back. So you can take an extra minute here and you can keep all those hours as opposed to having that car come back in the future and lose those hours then.
Mhm.
So it's kind of helping them understand why it's important to do it now as opposed to, you know,
Well,
but
Samantha, to me, it makes sense because what you're describing is like when the why is clear, the how is easy, and what
yeah.
you're doing is you're shifting their mindset from the here and the now to the end in
Mhm.
mind. And
Yeah.
some of them may not even fully know the end in mind, or in other words, the why. But you, as a trainer, have the ability to shift their mindset to help them understand why we're here, what the purpose of what we're doing is. And so, to me, that's something I see you doing a very good job of too. Like you have the right attitude, the right mindset. You're a fantastic trainer for a reason. It's because you recognize the opportunity to be a lifelong learner, to be someone who thinks like a rookie, who recognizes, you know what, I may not know everything. I may not have all the answers, but I'm going to keep on learning. I'm going to keep on growing. And ultimately we can go through something and grow through something. I'll ask you something, something you touched on that I think is very important and often overlooked, unfortunately. And that is just the stress, the anxiety, the emotions of the day to day. You talked about Mike. Now you're service manager. Shout out Mike because Mike's a great service manager. So you talked about Mike, years ago, and you're visibly seeing the stress that he was experiencing. I'll ask you, as a trainer, how are you helping people shift their mindset from the importance of shift their mindset to doing the right things, doing the important things, the priorities, so that they're not feeling the stress and the weight and the anxiety of just the day-to-day grind that we all experience.
So built into my training program, there is specifically a module about prioritization and time management, things like that, because I know firsthand how stressful every position can be in this shop. I know how stressful this industry can be.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that way, but when we learn how to handle it and when we learn how to manage it, it gets a lot better. So, when we learn how to manage our time, so for me, like if I walk out into my office right now and I look at my CSR's calendar, which we always have our email and then we have our calendar popped out because we use Google.
Hmm.
I will see it. She has everything scheduled out for her day. Same with our service manager, Mike. He has our toolbox talks. He has our morning meeting. He has our invoice audits and our individual meetings with our advisors. Everything he has is scheduled out for the day so that he knows, hey, this is when I'm doing this. This is how I'm going to keep myself on track so that when 4:30 rolls around and we're done with work at 6, I'm not trying to shove everything into
Yeah.
this hour and a half block at the end of the day and I can still I'm good. Everything's done.
That's so
So it's yeah.
and yeah, I mean, you're speaking my language. I'm a big believer in using a calendar. I also use Google Calendar. I mean, I live and die by my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. And so
No.
this level of compartmentalization that we can do and time blocking and setting, and more importantly, keeping the boundaries that we're setting, it goes
Mhm.
such a long way. And ultimately, we're able to work more cohesively when we're all in a better mental place as well. You mentioned AVI. I cut my teeth in the industry on virtual vehicle, and now I use motor visuals. I mean, almost weekly. Sorry, almost daily, if not every day. Um, what I've learned over the years is that 65% of people are visual learners, and we can learn up to 400 times faster through visual aids. I'll ask you, what kind of visual aids and visualization tools are you using? What kind of resources do you have in your own training for your for Shift Point Academy?
So with Shift Point Academy, I mean everything is through Zoom. So I'm able to share my screen and kind of walk through things together as opposed to just kind of talking about it.
Mhm.
So that way we're looking at things together as opposed to, I can talk about things all day long.
Yeah.
It's the same as with my service advisor, Priscilla. I know her, she needs to do something in order to understand it.
Mhm.
Um, it's a lot of people learn that way. They learn by doing. And unfortunately, with a lot of trainers in the industry, you can't get there. There's only so many trainers, but there's so many shops. There's so many people who need the training. So unfortunately, you're not going to get in-person training for your entire experience. There is, on-site availability and things like that, but it's not for the entire duration your of your training experience. But when we're able to screen share and look at things together. If my client shares their screen, they can walk me through everything. I know everyone has a different SMS, different shop management system. So, like at Shears, we use Shopware. Some people use Techmetric. Some people use Napa Tracks. There's so many different ones out there. So, for me, one of my struggles was trying to learn all of them so that I understood what I was looking at with everything. But when we're able to kind of walk through things together, it's a lot easier to understand. But we also have forms. So in like Google Sheets, we will build a form so that our clients can type in certain things. So whether it's their advisors with their KPIs and things like that, or, their daily sales, we will help them see on their own how they're doing for the month and things like that. So it helps them see on their own when we're not in a training session, how they're doing for the month, where things need to pick up, or where things are doing really well. Or in our meeting, we can kind of look at those things together as well. And then we also have like phone tracking sheets, things like that, so that we can see, okay, for my CSR, how are you doing with your phone calls? Are you converting calls? Are you not converting calls? Where's the issue? Is it new? Is it existing customers? What's going on? Um, we kind of we track a lot, and it seems like a lot of work, but once you're in the swing of things, it's super helpful to be able to look at all of those numbers
Yeah.
so that you can dig in and figure out what's going on. Like for us, we have a 4-day work week here, and in turn, the first Friday of every month, we will have a staff meeting. So in that staff meeting, we will look at the numbers for the prior month. So like sales, profits, things like that. We share all of that with our team because we feel like it's important for our team to know all of the numbers. It's important for everyone to know what's going on. It's not just, hey, we sold this month, you get your paycheck every week, and that's that. It's important to know how those numbers came about and things like that. But we also talk about our conversion rates on the phone and things like that. And we will kind of dig in and, like, for example, we have a new technician starting on this Thursday. And this past month was really hard because we were scheduled like 3 weeks out.
Mm.
So then there was a lot of people who just could not wait that long. I get it.
Yeah.
So our conversion rates were down a little bit, but we know why. So once he's here, once he's trained, once he's in place, it'll get better. And we'll work on it as a team, and then that's fine. But seeing those things with numbers, being able to look at them and see why is important to discuss, because if you just let it go, you don't know what's going on at
Yeah.
all.
I love everything you just shared, Samantha. I think it's so important that we keep our team in the loop. Ultimately, what gets measured gets managed. And if we're trying to go somewhere, we've got to know where we're at in order to know what direction we're trying to go. And you also create buy-in. You're able to create and keep buy-in when people are aware of what's happening. Because to your point, if you don't say something, if you don't show them where we're at, if you don't communicate, we know that when there's a breakdown in communication, voids tend to get created, and oftentimes negativity fills those voids. And something you know, based on what we've worked together on with the training with Limitless Leadership Blueprint, is that poor communication is costing shop owners 18% of total salaries being paid out on an annual basis. So this is just one of many examples of something to share and something to communicate regularly to keep your team in the loop and know how to get to where you're trying to go. Let me shift to well, actually, let me ask you this, Samantha. So if I'm listening, I'm a shop owner who's listening. Maybe I'm an advisor who's listening, and I'm thinking, you know what, I need training. And sometimes I can't go somewhere. I can't physically go somewhere, but what you're offering is virtual. And so I can meet with Samantha via Zoom, and she can help me go from great to greater and be the best service advisor possible. What am I getting out of Shift Point Academy? Like what's in it for me? If I'm going to say, hey, I want to invest in Shift Point Academy, what could I expect in return?
Yeah. So when we work with Shift Point Academy, for like my service advisors, so I will meet with the owner or the manager who's going to be handling things first. We'll talk about expectations and things like that. And then I will meet with the advisor, and I will ask a whole lot of questions to figure out who this advisor is, where they are at, what kind of skill set they have. And then I am going to build a program completely customized and individualized to that advisor, because every advisor is at a different spot.
Yeah.
So, like for me, I came in with no advisor experience, but my two advisors who replaced me when I moved into my marketing role at Shearers, they both came from the dealership with years and years of experience. So for us, like what worked for me for training would not have worked for them for training because they had a lot more experience.
Yeah.
So it is not one size fits all for training. It's just not. So for me, I'll meet with the advisor, I'll ask a whole bunch of questions, and then I'll customize a plan to them. And then from there, I'll meet with the owner or the manager again. I'll go over things. I'll get some numbers from them as far as KPIs, close rates, things like that. And from there, 3 times a week. So not 3 times a week, 3 times a month. So the first 3 weeks of the month, I'll meet with the advisor. The fourth week, I'll meet with the owner or the manager. And through there, I will listen to phone calls. We will debrief on them. We'll talk about them, what went well, what could have gone better. Did we learn anything in those phone calls? And we will learn how to develop a great relationship with your client. We will learn how to assist them in the buying process, not sell them everything, but help them buy things. And we will learn how to take the best possible care of your clients and transforming your team's selling process and their abilities will also help transform your business and better everyone.
Yeah.
It'll help.
Yeah. I mean, when
Yeah.
you get better, everyone gets better. Like I like to say, when the leader gets better, everyone gets better. And what you're doing is you're helping them lead themselves first as a service advisor. I love the distinction between service and selling, because ultimately we can serve someone through selling. We don't have to always be selling, selling, selling. If we're serving our guests, taking care of our guests, truly loving our guests through the process, the sale is a natural byproduct. It's a byproduct of exceptional standard setting service. And that's really what you're teaching, because as a service advisor, we are simply a liaison between technician or mechanical specialist, shout out Carm Capriato, and
Mhm.
guest. So we're a liaison between mechanical specialist and guest. So we're relaying information in a way that will allow this guest to make an informed, positive buying decision. I'll
Mhm.
ask you, Samantha. You mentioned earlier you guys use Shopware. A lot of shops use other, different SMSs as well. Is there any particular SMS that, like, if I'm a potential client of yours, can you work with anyone? Does it matter what SMS they have?
I could work with anyone. It is easiest to work with someone who has like a cloud-based SMS. But as long as you can give me numbers that I need,
Yep.
so if you can pull like gross profit and total sales and things like that, if you can get me the numbers and you can provide me invoices when I need them, I can handle it from there.
Perfect.
But it's always easiest to work with the cloud-based ones because they have the analytics and things like that built into them.
Sure. And then you mentioned you could listen to phone calls too. Do you
Mhm.
need access or log into their phone system that they're using, or will they send you something? How does that work?
I don't need access to it, but they do need to have call recording of
Okay.
capabilities. So I had a phone call with a potential client last week, I think, right after I launched, and I gave him homework. I said, "Sir, I need you to start recording your phone calls."
Yeah.
But I know there's legalities in certain states and things like that. So I, gave him some advice on how to do that. But for me, the shop owner, the manager, I'm going to have them pick out some phone calls, send them to me. I will listen to them. I'll send them to the service advisor or the CSR so that they can debrief and listen to it, figure out what happened and things like that beforehand so that they're prepared to talk to me about it when we get to our meeting time.
Excellent. And then if I'm listening again to this episode, I'm thinking, okay, I'm starting to have the details of kind of how this thing works. Could I expect to work with you for a certain duration of time? Is it kind of a ongoing thing? What is this? What does it look like in terms of time frame?
So, as far as my CSR program, it's about 9 months give or take. Everyone's different. So some people we could get through things in like 6 months. Sometimes it might take a year. It really just kind of depends on how quickly we get through things, how fast the CSR adapts to things. As far as the advisor program goes, it really depends on where the advisor is when they're coming in to working with me. I would say probably figure 9 to 12 months as well. But we can always work longer with less check-ins. If once we finish our initial program, we want to continue working together so that we can continue to fine-tune things and work on issues as they come up. We can always go longer if we need to.
Okay, very good. So let's shift into, of course, this is Leadership Podcast. I asked these next couple questions to every guest on this podcast. We talked about leading ourselves first, leading someone through the advisor program, and then ultimately when they get better, the team gets better. But I'll ask you, Samantha, what does leadership mean to you?
To me, leadership is helping the people around you just become a better version of themselves. For me, my dad he wouldn't say it. He wouldn't claim this himself, but he's a great leader. He helps me become a better version of myself every day. And he helps our team become better versions of themselves as well. It's a lot about helping the people, your team, grow.
Love that. That's one of the best answers I've gotten on this podcast, and I will echo your sentiments. I think your father, Tom Scherer, is one of the best leaders in the industry too. He is someone who is able to influence people even from afar. And so, you guys are in Pennsylvania, I'm in Texas, but he's influencing me in a positive way all the time. So yeah, shout out to you, Tom. Now, my next question, it might be from Tom, but I'll ask you, what's the best advice you've ever received from a coach or a mentor, or in this case, maybe your father?
It sure is. I don't know if it's something that he heard from someone else, but he's the one I heard it from. We either win or we learn. I hear this every single day, even if I'm not at work. It's something that I hear in my head because I hear it so often. It's not we win or we lose. It's we win or we learn.
Yeah.
Because sure, we might not win in every situation, but as long as we learned something from something that went wrong, we learned and we still won. Because next time we're going to win.
That's it. Love that. Absolutely love that. Okay, now this is our last question, Samantha. How can our audience get in touch with you?
So my website is shiftpointacademy.com. Social medias is just Shift Point Academy. And you can always email me. It's just Samantha@shiftpointacademy.com.
Awesome. And I will encourage everyone listening who has advisors, if you are an advisor, if you want to get better, and I think you're listening, which means that you want to get better, reach out to Samantha. At least schedule a call. At the very least, jump on a call with her. She'll take free discovery calls. You guys can talk through what things could look like. And ultimately, this is an opportunity for not only you or your team to go from great to greater, but this impacts you on a personal level as well. Any kind of coaching and training, it extends beyond the professional atmosphere. So with that being said, thank you, Samantha, for being on the Limitless Leadership Podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Every episode, we look to transform our leadership skills by tapping into unrecognized potential to achieve limitless results. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day. Don't forget to smile today. Tell your loved ones how much they mean to you. I'm Josh Parnell, reminding you to keep leading well.